Hello friends. In our broad theme on the Union Legislature, today we will be discussing the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. In India, each house of the Parliament has its own presiding officer and secretarial staff. There shall be a Speaker to preside over the House of the People, which is more commonly known as the Lok Sabha. The position of the Speaker is almost similar with that of the Speaker of the English House of the Commons. In Britain, the Speaker of the House of the Commons is held with great esteem throughout the history of over 300 years of parliamentary government. The Speaker in India represents the House, and the House represents the nation. So in a way, the Speaker represents the nation's liberty and freedom. Therefore, it is rightly claimed to be an honored position, a free position which is to be occupied by individual of outstanding ability and impartiality. Now let us see how a speaker is elected. The speaker is elected by the House from amongst its members. He remained in his office until and unless he ceases to be a member of the House, or if he tenders his resignation in the House, or if he is removed from the office by a resolution which is being passed by an absolute majority of all of the then members of the House. Now, under Article 93 of our Indian Constitution, both the speakers and the deputy speakers are elected. There is no special qualifications essential for the post of a speaker, and it is not being mentioned separately in the Constitution as well. In fact, the essential qualification which is required by an individual to become the member of the Lok Sabha are equally applicable to become the speaker as well. The speaker is usually elected from the members of the ruling party. Generally, the ruling party nominates its members on an informal consultation with the leaders of the other parties of the House. But there are instances where we find that the speaker was not elected from the members of the ruling party or a coalition party in power. For instance, Mr. Somnath Chatterjee, who was the member of the Communist Party of India, Marxist, was elected for the post of the Speaker from 2004 to 2009 under the first UPA government, when the left parties had extended their support from outside, but they were not a part of the government. So once the decision of the speaker is being made, the name is usually proposed either by the Prime Minister of the country or the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs. The Constitution of India has also the provision of a pro tem speaker. Now, who is a pro tem speaker? The pro tem speaker is the one who actually conducts or presides the first meeting of the House in which the speaker is being elected, provided it is a newly constituted House after the general election. Generally, the term of the speaker is for 5 years. But there is no restriction in the Constitution with his seeking for another term or terms. In fact, the speaker can remain in his office notwithstanding the fact that the House has been dissolved, but he is required to give his resignation immediately before the first session of the House after the general election, provided it is a newly constituted one. Now, there are certain conditions under which a speaker can be removed from his office. First of all, a speaker, if he ceases to be a member of the House, can be removed from his office. Secondly, if he or she tenders his resignation and the resignation letter is required to be addressed to the deputy speaker and vice versa. Finally, The Speaker can be removed by passing a resolution which is to be passed by majority of all of the then members of the House. And this is in accordance with Article 94 of our Constitution. Here it must be noted that a period of 14 days notice is to be given to a Speaker if a motion of no confidence is passed against him. At the same time, it is required to mention that the Speaker in such cases will not preside the meeting of the House. But he can very well be present in the House and express his views or say anything in his defense. He can participate in the proceedings of the House and even cast his vote, except on a condition if the votes in favor equals the votes that goes against him. So if the number of votes in favor of the Speaker equals with the number of votes that goes against him, then the casting vote of the Speaker is not entitled for any casting vote. Now, the powers and functions of the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. As being already stated, that the office of the Speaker is of great dignity and authority. The powers and functions of the Speaker emanate not only from the constitutional provisions, but also from the rules of proceedings that are made in pursuance with them for the conduct of the business of the House. Two things must be mentioned in this regard. First of all, the Speaker has certain powers which are unwritten and unstated in the Constitution, and they supplement his regular powers. Secondly, though the Speaker in India is modeled more or less on his English counterpart, but the Indian Speaker has a wide range of powers as compared to the English counterpart, who perhaps doesn't seem to have such a wide range of powers. Now, so far as the powers and functions are concerned, for our convenience, they can be classified under four heads. They are namely the regulatory powers, the supervisory and the censuring powers, the administrative powers, and finally the miscellaneous or the special powers. We will take up these powers one by one for our analysis in a great detail. First of all is the regulatory power. Now, in the very first place, the regulatory power of the Speaker includes his entire authority and responsibility to conduct the business of the House, just like his English counterpart. So, the first and foremost function of the Speaker is to maintain decorum and order in the House. He allots time for debates and discussion. He allows the member to express their views on a particular matter within the stipulated time that is being specified by the Speaker of the House. He interprets the rules of the proceedings and the constitutional provisions for the guidance of the members of the House. The Speaker puts different matters for voting and declares its result. In case of a tie, the Speaker is also entitled to give his casting vote. It is within the purview or it is within the powers of the Speaker to admit motion, resolution and point of order before he makes any arrangement for debates and discussion. The Speaker may adjourn the session of the House if he finds that the House fails to reach its quorum. Now, the business of the House is usually conducted either in English or in Hindi. but the Speaker may allow a member of the House to speak in his or her mother tongue and or in any other Indian languages and make necessary arrangements for adequate or for authentic translation of the statements made by the member of the House in the Parliament in both English and Hindi. No registration could be made until and unless the Speaker gives its approval. Not only that, the Speaker of the House make necessary arrangements for the secret meeting on the request of the leader of the House. And on matters of ultimate dispute, it is the decision of the Speaker which is to be regarded as a final one. However, it may be challenged in the subsequent motions which is being brought about by the members of the House. Now let us see the supervisory powers of the Speaker. The Speaker has allied to the regulatory powers, there are certain supervisory and the censuring powers of the Speaker. The Speaker is the head of the parliamentary committees. Like the Rules Committee, the Business Advisory Committee functions under the chairmanship of the Speaker. The Speaker appoints the chairman of the different committees of the Parliament. He may also seek for information from the government for its parliamentary committees or for the House, provided it is absolutely essential on the interest of the greater masses. The Speaker sees to it that none of the members in the Parliament uses unparliamentary languages. He may force a member to withdraw his indecent expression and amend the words which he may find it essential. Not only that, the Speaker may even warn a person on account of his disorderly behavior in the House, and he may even ask a member to withdraw himself from the House. In this respect, he may make use of the watch and ward staff headed by the Marshal to send a member out of the House because of his disorderly manner, because of his disorderly behavior. None of the legal proceedings or arrest can be made against a member of the House without the approval of the Speaker. The Speaker may even issue warrants of arrest and implement the decisions of the House with regard to a punishment of a member on account of breach of privileges or contempt of the House. Now let us see the administrative powers of the Speaker. The Speaker plays a significant role even in matters of administration within the Parliament. The Lok Sabha Secretariat works under the control and direction of the Speaker. The authority of the Speaker over the Secretariat is a supreme one. All the strangers, visitors, and the press correspondents are also subject to the order and discipline of the Speaker within the Parliament. No addition or alteration can be made in the Parliament House, or any new structure could be erected within the parliamentary estate without the approval of the Speaker. It is the responsibility of the Speaker to make arrangements for accommodation and other essential amenities of life for the members which are granted to them by the Parliament. The lobbies, the galleries in the Parliament are in charge of the Speaker, which are meant for the public and the press. Not only that, the entire security of the Parliament, the security of the members, the staff, and the property of the House are the concern of the Speaker to see that it is not being subjected to any danger. Under the 33rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1974, the Speaker is also empowered to refuse the resignation being given by a member to him in the Parliament at the time of a duress. Further, the Speaker may disqualify a member from his membership in the House provided he defected from the House as being laid down by the provisions of the Constitution. Such an incident had occurred in the history of India, in the constitutional history of India. We find that in the year 1991, the Speaker of the then Lok Sabha had disqualified 8 members from the ruling Janata Dal, out of which 5 happened to be the ministers, on the ground of being defected under the Schedule 10 of our Constitution. Now, finally, we come to the miscellaneous or the special powers of the speakers. The first and foremost powers of the speaker in this respect can be said that the speaker gives his certificate to the bill which is passed in the House. It is the speaker who ultimately decides whether a bill is a money bill or not. The joint session of both the houses of the parliament is presided by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. The Speaker is the sole channel of communication between the President of India on one hand and the House on the other hand. Not only that, we find that the Speaker may make obituary references and deliver valedictory address immediately after the expiry of the term of the Lok Sabha. The Speaker may make official references to important national and international events. The Speaker is also the ex officio chairman of the conferences of the presiding officers in the country. The Speaker may also nominate members for the parliamentary delegations visiting various parts of the country and abroad. Now, let us see the role being played by the Deputy Speaker. Now, it is none other than the Deputy Speaker who actually performs the role of a Speaker in his absence. Just like a Speaker, a Deputy Speaker is elected on a similar method. He not only is elected in the manner in which a speaker is being elected, but he also has the exclusive power and control over the parliament, just like a speaker in the House. A deputy speaker is also a member of the committees, the parliamentary committees of the different parliamentary committees. And by virtue of his position as a speaker, he automatically becomes the chairman of the parliamentary committee. In doing so, he can attend any meeting of the parliamentary committee, gives his decision or his ruling on any matter tabled for discussion, and in case of a doubt, if he has a doubt in his mind, then he may withhold the decision for the ruling of the speaker. Otherwise, the deputy speaker is just like an ordinary member in the House. Now let us see the position that is being enjoyed by the Speaker of India. The study of the powers and functions of the Speaker in practice actually reveals that it has failed to attain the dignity which is being enjoyed by his English counterpart, simply because of the fact that India is yet to develop a sound tradition of a speaker being a non-party man. As a result of which, or that is why in most of the cases we find that the motion of no confidence is initiated in the parliament against the speaker. Not only that, the members of the opposition went to the extent of undermining the chair until and unless he is being compelled to or forced to be sent out of the house with the help of the watch and ward staff headed by the marshal. Mr. M.V. Mavlankar, however, rejected the very notion of the speaker being a distinctly non-political man. He argued that an alternative tradition of an alternative tradition could be built up, could be established by the speaker, who, despite being a political man, could keep himself away from mere political interest and functions accordingly. It was indeed a great day for the entire history of the speakership when Mr. Sanjeeva Reddy was elected as the Speaker of the House. Now, Mr. Sanjeeva Reddy, when he was elected as Speaker of the House on 17th of March 1967. Now, when he became the speaker, he realized that the chair demands an amount of impartiality and judicious behavior on his part. To a great extent, he did justice to the post, but after a few years, he actually relinquished himself from the post of the speaker and jumped into the fray of politics, into the politics of presidential election in the year 1969. So the tradition once again received a setback. Nevertheless, we find that it was equally unfortunate to see that the tradition also had a setback when gubernatorial assignments being granted to the speaker immediately after their retirement from the post. So, in a way, instead of developing a healthy tradition, the new ways of lucrative temptations were opened up, and the speakers fall easily prey of the executive patronage. Not only that, sometimes the biasness of the speaker could very well be noticed in their attitude towards the ruling party. And this, as a result of which, the vocal members of the opposition bench, they express their temper, they express their anger, and they express their protest in the form of shouting and walkouts from the House of the Parliament. The speaker sometimes they walk on the request, sometimes they take a decision on the request of the ruling party, and they try to justify their unjustifiable actions in the name of extraordinary circumstances. Now, it must be mentioned that the office of the speaker is of great dignity and authority. It is a matter of regret when we find that such an office is being undermined due to several reasons. Mr. J.C. Johari has highlighted some of them. Let us see those reasons. First of all, it has been pointed out that the speaker seldom comes out from their party affiliations, and they continue to be active politicians even after they occupy the post of the speakership. Secondly, it has been mentioned that while treating the other members of the House, they usually take a partisan outlook. Thirdly, some of the speakers have certain ambitions to become ministers, chief minister, or even governors of the state, and in doing so, they try to create factions within the House and try to win over some of the factions in his favor. Fourthly, the speaker also tries to please the ruling party simply because of the fact that he needs their support to maintain decorum in the parliament. Not only that, it has been observed by Mr. J.C. Johari that these members of the opposition bench sometimes take unparliamentary means to express their protest against the ruling party. Now, when they are actually being restricted by the speaker, they defy and deny him. Finally, the leaders of the opposition bench are seldom taken into account before the appointment of the speaker takes place. So, from the very beginning, they viewed the speaker with suspicion as a mere nominee of the ruling party. To conclude, one may say it is required on part of the speaker to retain his party affiliations, to maintain a good relationship with the ruling party, and at the same time to win over the opposition, to win over the members of the opposition bench, which is a highly difficult task for him to do so. Now, the lot depends on the individual person. Lot depends on the skill, the intelligence, and the personality of an individual who holds the office. If from the very beginning the speaker is viewed as a puppet whose strings are tied in the hands of the ruling party, then whatever decision he takes, then whatever action he makes for the smooth conduct of the house would be criticized and would not be acceptable to the opposition bench. So petty politics on part of both the members of the ruling party as well as the opposition bench should be given up, should be replaced by an honest intention to provide a greater benefit to the masses. However utopian and unrealistic it might sound, it will not be possible for the post of the speaker until and unless such a change in the environment of the house is being made.